The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified English Series. Read by Orathai Sitthichan. Chapter 25. Question: Tom and Becky missing. Before sunset on Sunday morning, Hank tapped at the old Welshman's door. I called name from a window. Who's there? Only Hank Finn. That's the name that can open this door night, or they welcome. There were sang words to the ear of the wait-on boy, and the pleasantest taste he had ever heard. The door was quickly unlocked, and the old man and his sons speedily dressed themselves. Now, my boy, I hope you're hungry, because breakfast will soon be ready. The boy and I hoped that you would stay here last night. I was terrified, said Hank, and I ran 3 miles without stopping. I've come now because I want to know about it, and I've come before daylight because I did not want to come across those devils, even if they were dead. No, they are not dead, Hank. We fired at them, but they got away in the dark. Then we put the police on their tracks. A description of the scatter would help be a great deal. Did you see what they were like? Yes, one's the deaf and dumb Spaniard that's been around here once or twice, and the other is a nasty-looking rag. The deaf and dumb Spaniard talking. Well, never mind now. We know the men. I came across them in the woods at the back of the widow's house one day, and they crept away. Off you go, boys, and tell the sheriff. As the Welshman's sons were leaving the room, Hank sprang up. They cried, "Oh, please, don't tell anybody that I told you about them. Oh, please. My boy, don't be afraid of me. I would hurt a hair of your head for the world. No, I protect you. Why are you so frightened of these men? What do you know about them? That Spaniard is not deaf and dumb. Do you know who he is? Now, trust me, I won't betray you." Hank looked into the old man's honest eyes for a moment, and then bent over and whispered in his ear, "It isn't a Spaniard. It's a Redskin Joe. It's this case." The old Welshman almost jumped out of his chair. "It's all plain enough now. When you told me of that sniff business, I just that it was your own fancy, because Spaniards don't take this sort of revenge." During breakfast, the talk went on. The old man said that before going to bed, he and his sons had got a lamp and had examined the place near the fence for signs of blood. They found nothing but a bundle of what? The words had leaped to Hank's lips. He went breathlessly for an answer. The Welshman started in return, then replied, "Thieves, true." Hank sank back, infinitely grateful. The Welshman eyed him curiously and then said, "What were you expecting we found?" Hank did not know what excuse to make. Then a senseless reply came into his head. There was no time to consider it, so he said weakly, "Sunday school books, perhaps." The old man roared with laughter, but poor Hank was too troubled to smile. "Poor fellow, You look pale, said the old man. Queer, lest the sleep or was you need. I was annoyed to think that he had been such a fool and betrayed such a suspicious excitement. Just as breakfast was over, there was a knock at the door. I quickly hid, for he had no desire to be connected with the events of the previous night. The man admitted several ladies and gentlemen among them the winner Douglas. The Welshman had to tell the story of the night to the visitors. The widow expressed her deep gratitude for her preservation. Don't thank me, madam, but for another who won't allow me to give his name. My boys and I would never have been there. Of course, this is a rather great curiosity of the visitors, who later spread it in the town, for the old man refused to reveal his secret. There was no Sunday school during the holidays, but everybody was early as crash at the stirring happening on Cardiff Hill, were thoroughly discussed. News came that not a sign of the villains had yet been discovered. When the service was finished, Judge Thatcher's wife came up to Mrs. Harper, as she was moving down the crash with the crowd, and said, "Is my baby going to sleep all day? I expected that she would be tried out." "Your baby?" "Yes," with a startled look. "Didn't she stay with you last night?" "Why, no." Mrs. Thatcher turned pale and sank into a seat just as Aunt Polly, talking with a friend, flits by. Aunt Polly said, "Good morning, Mr. Thatcher." "Good morning, Mrs. Harper." Tom Smith said, "He stayed with one of you last night, I expect, and now he's afraid to come to crash." Mrs. Thatcher shook her head weakly and turned paler than ever. "He did not stay with us," said Mrs. Harper, beginning to look uneasy. An anxious expression came into Aunt Polly's face. Children were questioned, and the Sunday school teachers. They all said that they had not noticed whether Tom and Becky were on the ferry boat or the Homeward Trip. No one had thought of inquiring whether anyone was missing. One young man thoughtlessly explained his fear that they were still in the cave. Mrs. Thatcher fainted away. Aunt Polly started weeping. The alarm swept from street to street. Within 5 minutes, the bells of the crash were ringing wildly. Horses were saddled. The ferry boat was ordered out. In half an hour 200 men were pouring down the main road and the river towards the cave. All the long afternoon the village seemed dead. Although some nights the town waited anxiously for news, but when the morning came at last, the only message from the cave was, "Send more candles and food." Mrs. Thatcher was almost mad with grief, and Aunt Polly also. The old Welshman came home towards midnight, almost worn out. He found Hank in bed with a raging fever. The doctors were all at the cave, so the widow Douglas took charge of the patient. She said that she would do her best for him, whether he was good or bad, because no human being should be neglected. Before midday, parties of exhausted men returned to the village, but the strongest villagers continued searching, or news that could be gained was that the depths of the cave were being examined, that wherever one wandered through the passage lights could be seen and shouts and pistol shots heard, that the names Becky and Tom, dot in candle smoke, had been found on a rocky wall far from the path usually visited by tourists. 3 days, full days and nights dragged by, and the village sank into despair.